Music. What is music, and how much does it weigh? But more importantly, why do people want to create good songs when they could make terrible ones? Of course, the answer is obvious. Or is it? Am I emulating Vsauce so that you would keep watching, thinking you were watching a better channel? Yeah, pretty much. Of course, people like good songs because good, dislike bad songs because bad. But what if there were no bad songs? If there were only good or only bad, that would make all music mediocre and gray, and nobody wants that. So today, I, Old and Gold, in order to prevent the mediocrity of music, shall create the worst song ever. A vile, putrid cacophony of incompetence and ignorance. The kind of song that, if graded, would give you an F. The kind of song that any other song in comparison will sound like if Lemmy from Motorhead, Chuck Schuldiner, and Beethoven burst from the grave to personally perform it for you. So, let's get started. Firstly, I gotta figure out what exactly this worst song ever is going to be made of. That being its genre and its instruments. Now, theoretically, it could be made from any mix of genres and with any strange instruments my heart desires. I would really like a hurdy-gurdy, but I'm gonna go with what I am most familiar with. Heavy metal, if you couldn't tell just by looking at me. And thankfully, because we are picking the heavy metal genre, it already tells us the instruments that we are gonna need. That being drums, bass, guitar, and vocals. Now that I have determined what ingredients are going to go into this putrid pie of a song, I gotta figure out how exactly I'm going to make that putrid pie. Thankfully, I have already prepared just that. My own musical skill. I am ignorant of how to make good songs, therefore anything I do make will be awful. Consider it confidence in my non-ability. And don't worry, I won't even accidentally make it good, because when you are purposely trying to make it bad, any good that comes out of it is gonna stick out like me at parties. Bread. I mean, like, what even is it? You guys, listen to Voyage? However, I do actually want to attempt to play the music, because if I really wanted to make a terrible song, I could just throw a bunch of pots and pans down the stairs and record that audio. But where's the fun in that? First up, the drums. Now when it comes to bad heavy metal drums, there are some examples from which we can draw inspiration. For example, Razor's Malicious Intent has some unbearably loud cymbals and overall poor production that legit made me think that my record player was broken. Oh, don't look at me like that. We all have our flaws. Now, those drums are bad. But we're not looking for bad. We're looking for the worst. Oh, there it is. And of course, what worse drum sound is there than Metallica's Saint Anger? It's beautiful. In order to achieve a drum sound as terrible as Saint Anger's, I had to procure some equipment. Pots. And some spoons. So I tested my newfound drum kit. That's a spicy one. And began drumming away, not really knowing what I was doing, but I did know that it sounded bad. So everything was going to plan. With the drumming done to serve as a very unsafe foundation for the song, all I needed to do now was add some bass to it. The bass guitar is a sadly overlooked part of heavy metal music, which is really sad because some of my favorite songs have really good bass. Phew, that's good. Therefore, we gotta avoid that like it's the plague. Or coronavirus. Thankfully, we have the god of bass to tell us what exactly we need to do in order to make a terrible bass sound.
Well, the basic difference is that most bass players sound like this. Whereas whereas I sound quite different.
Using Lemmy's example of a bad bass player, the bass in this song will be a simple and boring 2-note sequence that will play throughout the entire song, always in the background and never changing. I can't think of anything more aggravating. With my plan set, I just needed to acquire a bass. Easy enough. Ugh. Pretty strong for a middle schooler. Hey, check out my impression of the bass in Injustice for All. Silence. As you can see, it was a very grueling process, but the grueling sound it produced was very much worth it. It's amazing. How many times can one man mess up when they only have 2 strings to work with? But I think my blatant lack of dexterity adds some character. Now that we have gotten the bass level, we move on to the guitar, the poster child of the heavy metal genre. How the hell does he do that? I have chosen my guitar technique to be that of the 14-year-old who just got a guitar for his birthday and is full of something only found in children: hopes and dreams. Best hope he doesn't start monologuing about it in front of fountains. So basically, I'm gonna do that thing we all do when we first pick up a guitar. I'm so good at this! Now, you might say, isn't this just like that elegant pots down the stairs analogy you gave earlier, that you weren't just gonna flail around on the instruments? Good observation. However, in the eyes of this guy, I'm so cool. He is playing the guitar properly. Of course, I can't actually play the guitar properly, which is why it sounds like a 6th grade band recital played at a convention for delusional artists. However, unlike the bass, both of my hands failed dexterity checks. Chords? Yeah, the only chords I know are extension chords. I may not be able to play a Neapolitan chord, but if your toaster's 2 meters too far from your outlet, by golly, I got what you need. For the vocals, I won't even attempt to make it sound terrible. My natural singing is already bad enough, so I'm already well equipped for the job. I will keep things from being too stable by changing up the vocals from clean singing to shouting and even some proper metal screaming, because consistency is the enemy. Just listen to that horror, and the doctors told me my nightmares weren't real. I recorded it on my crappy phone voice recording in the shower in order to get the worst possible reverb and sound. My singing didn't need much help, but I hope it adds something. Now, what the artist is actually singing about, the lyrics, is one of the most important aspects of a song. It gives it its character, its themes, so great time must be given in order to create a worthy... So I wrote some lyrics. I won't say it all, but I'll give you a stanza. So I walked away, waddle waddle. So I walked away, waddle waddle. So I walked away, waddle waddle. But the goose was still there. Ernest Hemingway? Yeah, more like Ernest Hemingway out of my league. Mwah! Literary perfection. With that, all of the pieces are complete, and all we need to do is mash them together. Now, the music video for this terrible final product of a song will be presented right after this, but it will also be presented alone and just the music video on my second channel, Older and Golder, where I will also post all of the miscellaneous videos that don't really fit well in this channel. So basically a lot of my unlisted videos and a bunch of those weird skits that only got 10 views. So don't worry, Backyardigans Quotes will remain on the main channel where you all know where to find it. Seriously, why do people keep watching it? Why does it keep growing? Anyways, here's the music video. Hope you like it.
I went to the hot dog stand today. It was in the park. The flowers were blooming, and eyes wept a tear. I went up to the hot dog guy. I said, Ich bin ein Berliner. He had to make a great big thing. Sauerkraut and all. Sauerkraut. It looks so good, but that's what I noticed. I'm just standing there. It looked at me with angry eyes. When I saw it, I knew what it wanted. It wanted my wiener! Wiener. Oh, no!
So I walked away, waddle, waddle. So I walked away, waddle, waddle. So I walked away, waddle, waddle. But the goose was still there. So I ran away, waddle, waddle. So I ran away, waddle, waddle. So I ran away, waddle, waddle. But the goose was still there. So I bolted away, waddle, waddle. So I bolted away, waddle, waddle. So I bolted away, waddle, waddle. But the goose was still there. But the goose was still there. But the goose was still there. And it bit me.